Right now, I am really sorry, but I've got all these little signs coming on my computer screen saying that there are a lot of people who are trying to get onto our webinar. Unfortunately, it is full. But if we get so many requests, I think we may have to repeat this. So, Si, how about you saying hello?
Well, why don't I just fix up your screen first and then I'll say hello.
Yes, my screen is not coming up to what it's supposed to come up. And those of you who know me, I'm not the most technically adept. But it is great to catch up with you. And today we are going to tell you what's been happening with us since our last webinar. I have to tell you it has been a real roller coaster ride for Simon and I. And only people who have gone through what we all went through in the last 12 months can understand what it's like. But it is behind us now, and I said to Simon this morning how wonderful it was to have the old Simon back, not only physically, but in the way he talks and the way he is. And it is just wonderful. And if I've learned something, I have learned to take one day at a time, which is not something that I do very well. So, Si, are you going to say hello at this point of time?
Yeah, I'm going to say hello. Very excited to kind of be back to a semi-normal life. The last year has been a unique experience, but I'm very happy to report that my treatment at this stage seems to be successful. I still have a ways to go with my protocol. We'll have about another 18 months, but the hardest part of it is all over, and I'm very happy to report that all my tests have come back free of any leukemia. So I think I may have dodged the bullet this time, but I would like to say thank you to everyone who has supported me along the way, and there's been many, many, many of you, particularly in my Sunshine for All project, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. Yeah, so Happy New Year. I'm very happy to be back at work. Lots has happened. I've only been back to work for the last month, and I'm happy to be able to share some of the things that we've been working on over. Yeah, just happy to be back. So I'll hand it back to you, Mark.
Okay. I wanted to share with you something that has always been important to me, but it was brought to my mind the other day when, please don't ask me how I got this, but somehow a whole lot of other people's blogs popped up on my screen. Could I go back there again? No. But I started reading them, and I started thinking about the following, and I thought, why not start our yearly webinars off with this? Following on from my most comforting words, perfection is a journey, not a state, I want to urge everyone to focus on the journey rather than the destination. When Simon was first diagnosed with leukemia, his doctor in emergency took me outside and asked me the question, how strong are you, Jenny? You are the one who has to be strong, and the only way to do this is to take a day at a time. This has been something that's been very hard for me because I'm always racing and jumping ahead of things and what if and how can I and what do you think. So this was something I really had to think about. Si, I'm waiting for the next screen, darling. Is it coming? Yep. The reward is not necessarily finishing a project, but rather in the sheer joy of creating something. I just want to feel the joy of how fibers feel in my hands, feasting on the glorious thread and fabric colors like the flavors of my favorite ice cream, and then dancing when it all comes together. Joy is found in watching a project grow, not in how many projects I finish in a year. It can be a single quilt block, a small pillow, adding an embroidery to a finished project, or just doing something because you can. The one thing that the last year has taught me is to be joyful in the day. It is totally cathartic sitting down with a sewing machine when the world is on your shoulders. It can be hand sewing. It can be something that you love to do. But make sure it's something that brings you joy. Soon it is you and your machine, and then just you, leaving everything outside your studio behind. For me, just sitting and sewing is so relaxing, finding peace just sitting and stitching. So start something new this year. For us, it's usually a new creative project, but make it something that will make your heart sing. Shut out the world and just love being you. Last year, I started with a personal trainer, and I shall tell you about that. So I want you to post this on your studio door. I just love it. Princess parking only. All others will be towed. And we all know how many toads hop into our lives. So I just love that saying. I thought I had to read it twice. Sorry. So unless the toad can be turned into a prince, all toads will be towed away. If nothing else, you will enter your studio laughing. This is a good start to your daily journey. We hope your journey with us will be in tune with this thought. If there was never any change in your life, there would be no butterflies. You know, I had never thought about that. So I have learned to take it one day at a time. I get through today, and then when tomorrow, and if tomorrow comes at my time in life, then I glory in the fact that I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I have a great day ahead of me. While Simon's changing the slide, I did start with a personal trainer last year. I did think I maybe was going to die, but it was the one thing that kept me going, because when I was doing that training, trust me, I didn't have enough breath or enough on my mind or in my body to think of anything else. So here you have where I spent 5 weeks at Christmas. I went up Christmas night after we had a fabulous Christmas bathers by the water, and the one on the left, many of you, she's going to kill me, I know, and you can see I've got a broom in the background. I wasn't riding it, I was sweeping. Sand is our enemy at the beach. And this is my gorgeous friend Robbie, who works with us and who is also helping us put our wonderful Sunshine for All quilts together with a glass of champagne. It's traditional. At the end of the day, everybody sits down and relaxes. On the left is my little gorgeous adopted granddaughter, Honey. I grew up together. This is my beautiful Brittany, and she moves in when I come up there. I remember her mother saying to me, "Oh, Jenny, she must be driving mad." But no, she isn't. We have grown up together, and she said something gorgeous to me. She said, "Jenny, you're like my auntie, only you're my friend." So I'll get Simon to do the next slide, and this is Honey and her, and she was 3 when Honey was just born. After reading about 4 books and doing absolutely nothing for 2 weeks, Robbie and I had the redecorating craze, and so I upgraded my caravan. It is blue and yellow, and so I decided to emphasize the yellow because it was so bright and so happy. So this is just looking at my new cushions and my new things on the veranda. This was a Christmas party, a thank you party to all Simon's friends at Christmas, and we had it at my place, and we had such a great time. And Kath, who's another one of my adopted daughters, and I got to, we made favour bags for all of Simon's medical teams. We had favour bags for all his friends, and we had a really lovely time. I have to tell you that Simon has lost quite a little weight since that picture was taken. Sorry, Si, you can say something.
What was very funny about that day was I hadn't had anything to drink for like 8 months. So I had finished, or almost finished all of my active chemo. And when I say active chemo, that's chemo that I had to have as in hospital. And I decided to break my fast with a couple of gin and tonics. And then a couple of weeks later, or a month later, I was at the beach at Bondi Beach with a friend of mine, Sarah, and her partner, Matt, and they were taking me out for lunch. And I'm like, oh, gin and tonic? I haven't had a gin and tonic all year. And they're like, yeah, you had many gin and tonics the other week. And
I thought it was the chemo that was making him wobbly. Okay, come on. On the left is Sister Sam, who was such an amazing support to him. And for Christmas, he knitted everybody scarves. Mine isn't finished, by the way. And that was Sam's Christmas present. And on the right-hand side is my beautiful little granddaughter, Zoe, in her Christmas outfit. And poor little Zoe's been in hospital for the last 2 days having extensive medical procedures, but she's fine. I want to also start it off with a positive note. You can do it. No exceptions. You can turn your whole world upside down and inside out. And we know about that happening. Yes, you can. You can heal and grow and create and manifest miracles. You can be the change you seek, inspire others, and astonish yourself, which I constantly do, let me tell you. Yes, you can. I sound like Obama, don't I? In the very next breath you take, you can begin stepping towards the truth of who you really are with a sense of awesome adventure. Oh, yes, you can. You can make this your year and watch as dreams come true before your very eyes. Oh, yes, yes, you can. And trust me, if I can do what I'm doing at the gym, you guys can do anything. And I also need positive things. So, Si, do you want to talk about this, darling?
I will when we get up to Sunshine for All.
Okay, he wants to talk about it later. Well, he arrived round at my place with boxes and packages and said, oh, Mum, I'll leave these here with you so you can piece the quilts. So
okay, I'm going to stop you right there. You volunteered and said my contribution to Sunshine for All will be sorting through the blocks and putting them into quilts. So I don't want anyone out there thinking I just dumped all this stuff on her when she volunteered and put up her hand and said, where are the blocks? Where are the blocks? You haven't given me the blocks yet. So, no, you're not going to get away with that one, Missy Moo, but yes, you can continue with your story.
By the way, he just confessed to having a very bad memory for the last 12 months, and my memory's always been fine. So this was Simon undoing his blocks and looking at every single one. And I have to tell you that Robbie and I have also looked at every single one many, many times, and they're beautiful. We cannot believe that so many different people made so many different blocks and how gorgeously they came together. I had this photo taken for my grandson, this is Simon's son Harvey, who loves dinosaurs. And when I saw this life-size dinosaur, which was actually animated, it's a pity I couldn't have taken a video. This was at a gift trade fair. I had to have my photo taken with the dinosaur. By the way, how do you like my gorgeous sneakers? Aren't they great? They're Skechers. I don't get lost in those. And this is Simon arriving at his surprise birthday party on board a catamaran on Sydney Harbour. His darling Fred and Jody, who's on the left, blindfolded him, which you can see in the right. If he squints, he had a blindfold. And, of course, we all know Simon's eyesight isn't the best without his glasses, so he's coming down. He heard a lot of noise, and here he is squinting, trying to see how many people or who we were that were all singing out surprise. It was such a fun day. Did you get a surprise, Si?
Oh, Jody told me months ago, she said, no, I need you to keep the daytime on your birthday free. I've got something I want to do for you. And as Mum said, my brain is just completely retarded at the moment. When they talk about chemo brain, it's a real, it really happens. Your brain doesn't retain any information. And Jody said, oh, it's like pregnancy brain. I said, yeah, it is like pregnancy brain. And to be honest, I didn't try to work out what the surprise was because I knew that Jody would just have so much fun putting it together. And they picked me up at my house and got in the car and put the blindfold on, and they drove to this ferry wharf. And Jody, who, you know, I love her to death, but she can be quite vague sometimes. She said, oh, okay, I'll lead you from the car down the hill. So she leads me down. She doesn't tell me there's a curb, so I follow the curb. She walks me straight into a pole, and then down flight of stairs until her partner George comes up. Okay, Jody, let him go. I'll take him down. But it was.
Simon, I've lost you.
I think Simon's trying to reconnect.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Si.
Okay. Sorry about that. For some reason the phone line dropped out. So I was just talking about selecting your time zone when it comes to registering for your webinar. It's super important that you do this. I wish the organization would somehow make that more easier to select. I cannot alter this screen that you're seeing at the moment. It's just what the company uses to bring up. So just, you know, you have to use your little cerebral memory and do as it says and click the show in my time zone section. While we are looking at, while we're waiting here, sorry?
I just thought we should be moving on, darling, because all these people
I am moving on. So I think it's really important that we run through the new website, which is here. So we've been working very hard on a new Jenny Haskins Designs website. When you put in the web address, jennyhaskins.com, this is what comes up as the default screen. And then to enter the site, you know, guess what you have to do? You click on Enter Site. When you click on Enter Site, it brings you up into the website. And this is what the website comes up with. So you can see here we have featured products at the top of the page, and then we have recent products under that. You have the ability to sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already signed up. It shows you that you can like us on Facebook. If you haven't liked us on Facebook already, all you do is click on the like button. At the top of the screen, you'll see the banner, and you've got Home, which will bring you back to this screen, and then you've got the Shop. The Shop brings down all the different categories that you can purchase from our website. So let's go to Embroidery Collections, and I'm going to click on Embroidery Collections, and it's going to bring up a page with all of the different embroidery collections. And hopefully you'll be able to see that everything is on sale. Everything on the website is 20% off until the 31st of March. So let's select, say, this one here, which is Bella Fiore. By clicking on the cover, it'll bring up the page, and it allows you to add to cart if you'd like to buy it. But the most exciting thing, and this is what people have been asking for ages and ages and ages, we want a gallery of what you can make with this collection. So each collection on the left-hand side has different pictures, and if I click on the picture, it brings it up, and you can see a beautiful shawl that's been made by the collection. Down the bottom here, you'll see little arrows forward and back. So if I click forward, it takes me to another picture. Click again, a different picture again. So each collection has its own personal gallery of ideas and projects that have been made with that collection. So if you're looking for inspiration, simply go to a collection, click on it, and you'll get to see some beautiful pictures of projects that have been made with that collection. To get out of it, just click the little X in the corner. You'll notice up here we've got galleries, and the galleries are of all the different past academies that we've run. Then we have video categories. This is something new. Previously we had different videos on different pages. We now have all of the videos in the one section, and it's good that I'm bringing it up now. A lot of people ask, how can I watch the webinar again? Well, the very first category we have here is called webinar recording. So all of the webinars from now on will be posted into this category here, webinar recording. So today's webinar will be uploaded today, and you'll be able to watch it from here. Then you have all of the other different videos in the different categories, and then all you'll have to do is click on it. It'll bring up the video player. Depending on your internet speed and connection, it may take a minute or two for it to load, but just be patient. It will load and you'll get to watch the video in the video player up on the screen. I'm not going to wait for it to load. It will load, but you just have to be a little bit patient. So you can see here it's coming up now. Next to video categories, you have so you can see here now it's come up as Sunshine for All. But I'm going to click on Ask Jenny. Ask Jenny is our new way of requesting information from Jenny Haskins. So you'll see here, Jenny's got her very first post, which is called Ask Jenny 1. And if I click on Continue Reading, it'll bring up the whole post of what Jenny's written. So you can send the question to Jenny, you can email it to her, however you want to get it to her, and she will answer it and post it up here. So you can see here that she's got her first post, and it's lots of tips from her when you're starting to do your embroidery or sewing. I'm not going to read it. You can come back to the website and read that later. You can now search the website, so you can search for a specific product or post or anything like that. And that's the basics of the website. And I'll leave this for you guys to explore, but make sure you take advantage of the 20% off for all products on the website. And at the very end of today's webinar, you'll get a secret special reward for sitting through the webinar. But let's get back to the presentation. I just wanted to run through that because I often get people sending me very kind of upset emails saying, I was there and I waited and I waited and I waited and you never turned up for the webinar. And it's usually because you haven't selected the time zone that the webinar is in. So if you just simply select show me my time zone, click that, you'll get your right time zone. So let's go back to here, and we're now going to go back to the slide, and we're up to Sunshine for All. I think the last webinar we did last year, and I was thinking about this as I was driving into work today, was the launch of Sunshine for All. And thinking back to when that happened, it was done when I was in hospital, and I remember the medication that I was on, or I was on so many different types of medication, but one of them was very, very, very high dose of a corticoid steroid called prednisolone. And one of the side effects is it just makes you bounce around the room and high as a kite. And I remember just babbling incoherently for an hour and a half. But I'm very glad not to be on that medication. But Sunshine for All has been a real godsend for me while being treated. And if you don't know anything about Sunshine for All was a quilt project that I started last year, asking people to make a quilt block to send it to me to be used in. At the beginning, I thought I'd be able to make one quilt, and this just snowballed, and we've received hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blocks from people all the way around the world. And I'm excited that we're finally getting the blocks into quilts. And this is only some of the quilts that I'm showing you now. It's not all of the quilts by a long shot. And we're starting to make them off as 25 block quilts. And this is what Robin and Jenny have been piecing over the last couple of weeks, are all these incredible quilts. And I literally get goosebumps and shivers every time I see the quilts because they all look so amazing, all of the blocks coming together. I want to say a special thanks to the people who organised the American Sewing Expo in Novi, Michigan. They very generously had a Make It booth where people could make quilt blocks for Sunshine for All, and Westminster Fibres donated fabric that people could use to make blocks for the program. Some people have just gone way above and beyond what I thought we would be able to achieve with Sunshine for All, with some people making 30 or 40 blocks and one woman making a full queen-size quilt top that that will be used for Sunshine for All. I'm hoping that these quilts will be able to be auctioned and to raise money for two different organisations. One is the Leukemia Foundation. The Leukemia Foundation is Australia's peak body non-government organisation that supports people with leukemia and blood cancers, and they run so many different incredible services for people who have blood cancer. They have a transportation service that will drive you to and from treatment. They have accommodation services, plus they have a huge area where money goes into funding research for people who have leukemia and blood cancers. But hopefully you can see how every quilt looks different, and I'm hoping there are people who are here on the webinar who are able to see the block or blocks that they've made. Please don't be offended if you don't see your block in a quilt. We still have piles and piles and piles and piles of blocks that we're working through. The best way to keep up to date with what's happening with Sunshine for All is to go to the Sunshine for All website or the Sunshine for All Facebook page, where information and pictures are posted of the blocks and quilts and everything that's happening with Sunshine for All. So I'm hoping that people are liking what they're seeing with the Sunshine for All quilt. I'm incredibly proud of what everyone has done, and I hope that you have you feel proud as well, and I hope that some of you are getting to see your blocks up on screen. It just blows me away by the kindness and the time that people have devoted to making these blocks and sending things in. And I want you to know that I will be forever grateful and humbled by your contribution to this program. I just absolutely love everything that everyone's done. The other organisation that we're looking to raise money for is the St Vincent's Hospital Oncology and Haematology Ward, and this is the hospital that I spent nearly 8 months in. It's a public hospital in the inner city of Sydney, and as a public hospital, you are treated in wards that have, you know, upwards of up to 4 people in the one room. So privacy is something that you don't get, and cancer is probably the lowest point in your life, and when you're going through such a personal experience, having to share a room with other people who have very different habits to you can be quite challenging. And to say the least, I spent some time with some very interesting people who really challenged your sanity in some occasions. So I'm just, every time I look at these, I just am absolutely blown away by what people have done, and I want to say thank you. I can't say thank you enough to the way everyone has contributed to Sunshine for All, and I hope that you're all proud of the way the quilts have come together, and I think they're all absolutely incredible. And I think we're coming up to the last one we have up on screen, and this is an alphabet quilt, and I can't remember who made it, but she did all of the blocks for this particular quilt. And if you'd still like to contribute to Sunshine for All, you can by making a quilt block, and all you have to do is go to www.sunshine4all.com, and it has all of the information about how you can contribute for Sunshine for All. So I think, are you there, Mum?
I'm here. I'm listening. Actually,
okay.
Robert and I are always amazed how great the quilts look when they come together. I have to confess sometimes it's challenging to find the exact right block to go in the exact right place, but they are all gorgeous. They are just so lovely. So it brings us so much joy. And trust me, we're getting perfect piecings. Those little corners match up perfectly. Okay, life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And this is true. You can be whatever you want to be if you take charge. You really, really can. And so here is the long-awaited Tawoon Bay Morning Glories. Now, Tawoon Bay, so you can move on from this if you want to. Tawoon Bay is where Robbie and I have our caravans, and the actual Morning Glories is actually a pest, and it's a creeper. And the flowers come out in the morning and they die at night, so they only live for a day. But they are beautiful, and they're in this glorious purpley blue colour. And so I sat down on an outlook overlooking the sea one day and sketched the flowers and then had them put into beautiful applique designs. I did use beautiful tie-dyed velvets in this project because I love velvet, and combined with the lovely rayon threads, they're just glorious. So you can see here how beautiful the flowers are, and don't panic, it's all done with embroidered decoupage. And again, you don't have to worry about the quilting. Originally, I did all that little circle quilting manually, but Simon has digitized it all for you. So all the blocks are quilted for you, and they're pieced and then pieced together on the diagonal. It is all joined with the Jenny join, and then you use strips of beautiful fabric to cover and create the lattice. It is a really cool technique, and you will love it. You'll notice, I think I've got an arrow here somewhere, that because we didn't seal this down first, we were able to put leaves under and over each other and under and over the lattice, just like they were creeping on lattice. This is a lovely little project. You will learn so many new techniques from it, and I hope you will enjoy it. Now, I think we're taking pre-orders, are we, Si?
We will be, yes.
Okay, because Simon's only just put it all together for me. So what's next, Si? I've got to say Simon's been working on this for a long time. I love this one. This is one of my favourites. Dreams come a size too big so we can grow into them. This is great because, trust me, I'm still growing. And it does encourage you when you have these exciting ideas that, hey, this is something that you will do. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it will come. And this is Simon's.
So I'm excited to be able to do this for the very, very, very first time. Hopefully a lot of you will be familiar with a collection that we brought out at the beginning of last year called Simon's Applique Magic. And this is an applique technique that's done in the hoop that gives you a double-sided quilt, and it's just such a very easy technique. And when it came out, I had a couple of people who emailed me and said that they were looking for something. They wanted a little bit of modification to the designs, and they weren't happy with an aspect of it. So I took that on board, and I just want people who contacted me about this, I just want you to know we've listened to what you have to say, and we've come up with Simon's Applique Magic 2, and it takes what we did in Simon's Applique Magic and takes it one step further. So up here on screen you can see the quilt, and like with the original Simon's Applique Magic, it's a double-sided or reversible quilt. So on the left-hand side, you can see one side of the quilt, and on the right-hand side, you can see the other side of the quilt. What I decided to do at this time is on the front, the fabric was laid yellow underneath and red on top, and on the reverse side, we did the opposite. So we had red underneath and yellow on top. And they're the same designs, but just give you a different effect by how the fabric is laid. I'm not going to give you a lesson on how to do this. We will be in a future webinar. I just wanted to show you what we've been up to. So how does this differ to the original Simon's Applique Magic? Well, if you look up here on screen, you'll be able to see the very first block. And in the original Simon's Applique Magic, everything was done with a pin stitch, and that's all that was sewn out. Well, with this one, you have 2 additional steps to create your block. Firstly, I hope you can see on the right-hand side all of these squiggly lines on the yellow fabric. Who wants to guess what that is? I hope there are people who are saying this out loud. It's quilting. It's stipple quilting. Everyone asks when I do my presentations in traveling around, they say, does that include the quilting? 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 Well, I can say very strongly, yes, it does include the quilting. There were certain people who didn't like the pin stitching. So instead of having pin stitching, we have a beautiful satin stitch ball that stitches around all of the applique shapes. So this collection differs to the first one. All the first collections were all circle and curve. This is all squares, rectangles and triangles. So I'm just going to quickly run through all the different blocks, but you can see here that all of the blocks have that beautiful applique stitch, and it has all that beautiful quilting, so each block is perfect every time that you stitch it out. So all of the applique is done in the hoop, and it's done by simply trimming away the top layer of fabric. But I hope that some of you out there have big smiles on your face, because I know you'll absolutely love this, and it's very exciting to be able to include all of that wonderful stipple quilting in the design, so you get stitch every time that you stitch it out, and all of those beautiful applique stitches, those beautiful satin stitch balls, stitch out perfectly, so the stitch length and density is perfect every single time that you stitch it out. This was something that I worked on just before I went into hospital last year, so it's exciting to be able to block. And then Mum said, what can I do to help you out? And I gave her the block, and she put the quilt together. And the quilt is put together with the Jenny join using the fabulous Clover black fusible tape. And I think Mum said it took her 3 hours to put the whole quilt together. So that's sewing the box together with a zigzag, using the bias tape on the front and the back, and then doing a zigzag again over the top. So I hope that you guys love this technique and the beautiful effect that you get with this Simon's Applique Magic 2. And it's just really wonderful to have all that beautiful stipple quilting and that lovely satin stitch to finish off each of the blocks. Do you have anything you want to say about this, Mum?
Yeah, I do, Si. I actually was amazed how quickly this came together. The thing Simon hasn't mentioned is something that he introduced, and that was the built-in stitch cutting lines. He had all the blocks cut out. When the blocks are cut out accurately using these lines, piecing it is an absolute dream. I have to tell you, I didn't use any pins at all. I used no pins. I buttered up the blocks. I stitched them into rows. The one thing I did the 2 top and bottom rows, and I did the 2 rows at the top, the 2 rows at the bottom, and I left the middle row free and did my tape over that. And by the way, this tape front and back, and I really was surprised. I sat there and I sewed it, and the beauty was when I had put the quilt together, there was no squaring up. All I had to do was do the binding. So the beauty about this technique is when you've finished piecing the quilt, your quilt is finished. There's no having to wait to have it quilted or say, oh my goodness, I've got to now quilt this thing. It's finished. So to me, that is the best thing. Okay, Si?
Yeah.
Hello?
I think this is the last block. I'm here.
Okay.
I think this is the block.
Yes, and we're just about in our hour too. We're doing well, huh? By the way, we would love to hear some feedback from you. You can either email Simon, at jennyhaskins.com or jenny@jennyhaskins.com. We'd love to know what you thought of the webinar, any suggestions you might like for future webinars. This is another great saying. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. How many of us are guilty of that? So just forget the past and totally move on, because life is so exciting. I'd also like to send a special call out to Rosa, who has become our friend through Simon's leukemia, who has gone through chemotherapy herself. We are so glad, Rosa, that you are feeling so much better, and it was lovely to see the pictures with you and your family on Facebook, and this comes with a huge hug and kiss from both Simon and I. Okay, Simon gave Robin and I something to do while he was away at the beginning of last year, pre-leukemia, and he said, Mum, you've got, because I keep saying it's time for me to bow out of this, he said, well, you've got so much information, Mum, you need to do something with it. And the one thing that I have learned is that we are getting so many new people into the industry, with the sewing machine companies not giving the education that they used to do, with sewing machine dealers, particularly in Australia, cutting back on their education. I know it's the same in America. And people are buying new machines. They are not always handy to classes, etc. So we have decided to do a Back to Basics boot camp. Have you just purchased a new embroidery machine? Are you new to machine embroidery? Do you need a refresh course in machine embroidery to get you motivated again? Would you like a reference book for all your machinery embroidery techniques? Then this is it for you. Robin and I start from the very, very beginning when you first bought your embroidery machine. This is not a course to teach you the technicalities about your embroidery machine. This is something you need to do when you purchase your machine and take advantage of the free lessons. This is to teach you every technique that we know about machine embroidery, and you will get a workbook that you will work through and have a sampler for every technique, covering threads, bobbins, needles, feet, stabilizers, designs, every sort of design technique that you can possibly think of for machine embroidery. I was at the beginning of this industry when machine embroidery was brought in, and I actually, FAF, as you know, was the very first sewing machine company to have a computer that interfaced with the machine, and as someone described me, I am a pioneer of machine embroidery and machine embroidered quilts. Oh joy. But anyway, it happens to be the truth. So please keep tuned to this. We have some more exciting things that we're working on for our next webinar. Is there anything else, Si? And if there's something, can I just add this in? If there's something you'd particularly like covered in our Back to Basics bootcamp, please email. If we have not included it, we will be happy to include it. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's 30% off, Simon. Well, you are being generous. He didn't tell me about this.
So as a thank you for coming to the webinar, in addition to the 20% off that we have on the website at the moment for any of the design collections, for attending it, you can take an additional 10% off your whole purchase by typing in that coupon when you JHNY, the numerals 1 and 4. So Jenny Haskins New Year 14. JHNY 14, and you will get another 10% off your purchases from jennyhaskins.com. This offer expires on the 31st of March, along with the 20% off. So make sure you take advantage of this amazing discount that you're getting from the website. This is just to launch the website, and it's a way of saying thank you to everyone for all the support that you have given me and my family over the last year. I really can't say thank you enough to everyone for your love and kindness that you've sent to us over the last year. So I hope you've all written that down, JHNY14. Don't forget, the webinar is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the website if you want to watch it again. Whoops. This is something to mark in your calendar. Save the date. The next webinar will be happening on Thursday, the 10th of April. I have a feeling that we'll have to run several webinars next time, so it'll probably be maybe the 9th, 10th, and the 11th, because we had so many people sign up to this one, and I know I'm going to have a barrage of very cranky emails from people saying, I signed up, but it wouldn't happen because it said the webinar was full. So I think we may have to do several because the response that we had was a bit overwhelming. So keep that date. There'll be at least one on the 10th of April. And again, when you register, please make sure you select your time zone. And here we have to finish off the presentation.
Just how I am feeling, let me tell you, and I'm sure you are too. My brain has too many tabs open. I know you all know how that feels. So thank you for joining us. You're like our extended family. We love and value you all, and we'll see you on April 10th. So goodbye from me.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you soon. See you next time.
Blowing you all a kiss. Mwah!
Bye.